You got 3 quotes for the same website. $500, $5,000, $50,000. And you have no idea why. Here's the thing, they are not quoting the same website. The spec sheet looked the same, but what each of those numbers actually buys is completely different. And if you pick wrong, you might have to rebuild the whole thing in 18 months. Here's what most people do. They default to the lowest number, or they try to negotiate the highest one down. Either way, they make a decision they don't fully understand. Then 6 months later, something breaks, or the technical debt eventually piles up so badly that migrating platforms costs 3 times what they originally saved. We've built websites at every tier, from fast turnarounds to 2000-page enterprise migrations, working with brands like Jasper, Kajabi and Excello. And in this video, I'll show you what a 500 build actually gets you, why 5000 sounds reasonable but often isn't, and the 4 questions you need to ask any agency before you sign anything. So the next time someone sends you a quote, you know exactly what you're looking at. Investing in a website is like hiring a contractor to renovate your kitchen. A handyman, a small local firm, and a full construction company can all say yes to the same brief. The handyman does the basics. Quick, cheap, done. But when something comes up mid-project, and something always comes up, you're the one figuring it out. The small firm does the work, but you end up managing the project yourself more than you expect. The construction company brings architects, project managers, specialists. Same brief, 3 completely different realities. Website quotes work exactly the same way. The difference between 500, 5000 and 50,000 isn't what the provider said yes to, it's what actually happens after they start. A $500 website is a template with your logo on it. That's the honest version of what it is. The person quoting you 500 is almost certainly working from a pre-built theme on Squarespace, Wix or WordPress. They swap in your colors, drop in your copy if you give it to them, maybe adjust a few things so it doesn't look completely generic, and they hand it over. That is completely fine for local service business, a solo consultant or someone who just needs a presence online. But here's what it can't do. It can't scale. It can't be customized when your marketing team has a campaign idea that doesn't fit the template. It can't be handed to a developer 6 months later who can pick it up cleanly and build on top of it. And when something breaks, and something always breaks, the person who built it for $500 may not be around to fix it. Or fixing it costs as much as the original build. The price isn't the problem. Mismatched expectations are. The $500 tier is a straightforward once you know what it is. The 5000 tier is where it gets interesting, because the website will look fine. The problems show up later. At the 5000 price point, you're usually dealing with a freelancer or a smaller agency. The pattern that shows up consistently is this. They are strong at one of the 2 skills the job requires. Either they are a solid developer who can build something technically functional but hands the design decisions back to you, or they are a strong designer who produces something that looks great but relies on a developer they are outsourcing to. What that means in practice is that you end up leading the project yourself way more than you expected. And when something goes wrong, which it will, there's often nobody to own it. No client manager, just you, chasing someone to an email, hoping they're still available. And then there's the outsourcing problem. A lot of agencies quoting at this level are subcontracting the work to cheaper markets, and many of them are not upfront about it. Lower price can mean less accountability and less consistency. But the 5000 quote isn't dishonest. For the right project, it's the right number. But if you need a website that can grow with your business, it's actually the most expensive option on the list. because you'll be rebuilding it. So that's the 500 versus the 5000. Now let's talk about the one that makes most people flinch and why that number might be more justified than you think. At $50,000, you're not just buying a website, you're buying a system. When a company comes to us for a project at this level, the first thing that changes is the scope of what we are actually building. It's not a homepage and 5 interior pages. It might be a full platform migration, moving 2000 pages from a legacy CMS to Webflow, one by one, over 3 months, with redirect mapping, SEO continuity, and quality control built into every step. Or it's a complete web system, multiple page types, custom web apps, CMS architecture, back-end integrations. What you're actually buying at this tier is a complete team. Designers, developers, a dedicated project manager who is your single point of contact. You don't have to lead the project yourself. You don't have to quality check or figure out the content strategy. If something changes mid-project, a team with the right scope and the right manpower can absorb it without the price blowing up overnight. Another thing that changes at this level is what happens after launch. When your marketing team needs a new landing page, a new integration, a new component, the infrastructure to build is already there and the system grows with your business. So now you've got the full picture, but knowing what each tier buys still leaves you one practical question. How do you actually evaluate a quote before you commit to it? Here are 4 questions you can ask yourself before you sign anything. First, are they transparent? The price you agree on before the project starts is the price you pay at the end. Scope is documented, no surprises. If you can't get that in writing before you sign, walk away. Second, who is accountable? If they are outsourcing the work, do you have an account manager or someone you can turn to when something goes wrong? If there's no clear answer to that question, that's your answer. Third, if you are migrating from another platform, is there an SEO plan? Migrations carry real ranking risk. URL mapping, redirects, post-launch monitoring. If they can't answer that clearly, they might not be the best partner. Fourth, is strategy and copy included, or does it fall on you? At lower price points, the thinking is always the client's responsibility. At the enterprise level, this should be part of the scope. If a $50,000 quote hands you a blank CMS and waits for your copy, the thinking is still on you, and that's not what you paid for. The number on the quote is actually the last thing you should be looking at. The 4 questions are everything. Now, if you're looking to migrate your existing website, there's a whole separate set of things that can go wrong. That's why we put together a checklist. Everything you need to know before migrating your site. Everything from SEO risks to a full case study of a real migration. Click right here. I'll see you in the next one.